Coming in live from the Export Beer Garden studio, you are here with the Benchwarmers podcast, here with your starting small forward, Storme Hitaua. Thank you. And to my right, who does more scoring in the clubs allegedly than he does on the courts, is the notorious pants man, Joel Harrison. G'day, mate.
G'day, mate. How's it going?
You're very well, thank you. Can you calm down with your enthusiasm and energy, please? And to my left, making his Benchwarmers debut, we've managed to somehow supplement him for Ben Boyce today. We have the Black Mamba. No, you get the Black Mamba. Today we've got the White Roomba cleaning up all the mess from the Matt and Jerry show. It is, of course, Finn Caddie. G'day, mate.
Wow. Storme Hitaua. That was more than I've ever expected. And first of all, this is a huge honour replacing Ben Boyce. It's not the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
No. Well, we needed you for all the followers that we just lost on social with Ben Boyce sitting out of this episode.
Yeah, right. So
you've supplemented that. You got a nice little Matt and Jerry bump, didn't you?
Yeah, I do.
Being a part of them.
Maybe you could share it. You could share this episode on the Matt and Jerry account, because that would probably make up for like some of Ben Boyce's credibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk behind the scenes if you want to do that on air, boys. I'm more than happy. So are you worried about the Ben Boyce tag on the story not getting the clicks?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because he's not here?
Because we've lost the Ben Boyce bump.
Okay, yeah.
So we've had to come in with you, the Finn Caddie bump, and hopefully that plays out quite nicely.
It's not going to be as good, I'm going to be honest, but it'll be there and you'll notice it.
That's okay. Hey, before we get into the podcast, lads, I've just come across this book here that was pesting about in the Radio Hauraki office. It's called Make Noise, A Creator's Guide to Podcasting and Great Audio Storytelling. And I just wanted to make sure that we're at least covering off a couple of these things that they say we should be doing in order to make a great podcast. So it says here, talking about yourself. So, Joel, if you wouldn't mind giving us an anecdote from your weekend, mate.
For my weekend?
Yeah.
Not a lot of basketball. Actually, my fantasy basketball draft went down on Thursday night. It's like one of the highlights of the year, I reckon. It's a great time. We'll talk about that later on in the show, though.
Beautiful.
That's pretty much, that's all from me.
And then we just need an engaging character. I believe that you'll have to fill that role today there, Finn Caddie.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm more than happy to do that, Storm. I think it's hard to do that when put on the spot like this. But as the episode plays out, there'll be an engaging character, and that engaging character will be me.
Well, so far that's 2 out of 2 with 2 of the big tips from Eric Newsom, who has made this a creator's guide to podcasting, fellas. So I think we're on a good start here. I don't want to waffle around too much because I'll start rambling about other things. So let's get into it with your starting 5.
This is the starting 5 for the Benchwarmers.
Y'all ready for this? This is where we like to tinkle around and see what's happening both in the NBA, NBL, and your backyard basketball games as well, when Finn Caddie's doing dunks on his 3-year-old nephew. Well, 4 now, right?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Same height though, eh? Normally, this is kind of like the hot, tall, cold topics. First things first, as we head into the season, this one came from producer Adam, because you believe that Giannis, is that right, Adam, might be one of the biggest personalities in the NBA?
Well, one of the biggest personalities, plus the best person with dad jokes, I would say, in the entire league. I don't know if you've heard any of those.
What evidence do you have to stand on?
Well,
why did the orange lose the race? Nobody gonna ask why. Somebody gonna say why.
I don't know why.
He ran out of juice.
Great bit of audio there, producer Adam. That was really good. Yeah, I like that.
Really living up to the Benchwarmers name in the podcast as well. It's not just about basketball benchwarming, it's just all around the board we're benchwarming.
Boys, as we head into the season, who do you think is going to be personality of the year in the NBA? I'll kick things off just because it's written. I think Steven Adams always got a good chance at kind of walking away his favoritisms and in terms of like being the guy. Always seems to be first in breaking up scraps. And if he's not breaking up scraps, he wants to leave some behind when he's got a big, massive contract extension and he's going to buy a massive feed for the boys.
Yeah, well, I've got a question about this. So biggest personality is, can I just define this question really quickly? Is it the most important personality, or is it the best? Is it the most likable? Because if I think the most important personality, I think of players that are notoriously dickheads.
Okay.
Like your Patrick, your Patrick Beverleys,
Beverley, nice.
your Draymonds, your Marcus Smarts, personalities that are going to win you NBA titles, but that personality is not necessarily the best personality. So what are we thinking there? Am I going to go down directions like people that tend to be the funniest or have the best yarns?
Yeah. No, we're not talking about influence into converting that into dubs for the team.
Okay, well, Luka Doncic is definitely up there. Way too keen to flirt with a female referee whenever he's on the court.
Who isn't though?
That
You?
I mean, look, I like to keep things professional. Luka Doncic, a little too focused on the trail referee, especially in a game that I think it was against the Clippers where he was talking to her about a foul. He thought that he deserved, didn't get it. All of a sudden, the referee's walking away blushing, and it is all on for young and old there. So I think Luka Doncic is also a good chef.
Hey, but what does he play for? Serbia or Slovenia? Slovenia.
Yeah, one of them.
Either way, it's that Nordic charm, I think, that really kicked in there. Geez, that one might be cut with the DeJounte Murray fiasco from last week.
Yeah, I guess we've got to address. Are we going to address that though? Are we going to address last week's the allegations that came out last week when Storm mentioned that DeJounte Murray is the only good thing left at the Spurs?
I don't think
a day after he made his debut for the Hawks, or should we just leave that one out of it this week?
I think we leave that one out of it, eh?
Okay, so moving on. I reckon Draymond Green. I think. Similar to Finn's situation, I genuinely think he's the person that the most people are talking about before the NBA this year. He's made a big impact. He put a dick pic on his Snapchat a few years ago. Finn's seen that as well. I know you saw it last year.
Wow, yeah, Joel, we were commentating the NBA Finals last year with the ACC. You were way too quick to get it out. I also noticed you had love-hearted that heart itself.
His penis or Draymond Green's penis?
Draymond Green's penis. So it was in the favourites folder, which made it easier for you to find.
Yeah,
and
easy.
Then, therefore, show myself, Ben Boyce, and I think Storm, you might have even been there to see that as well.
I was there. I saw it. I mean, look, I will be the first to admit that I didn't not ask to see it.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest, I think it certainly intrigued me when someone comes in with a bold claim that says that they've got a DP from Draymond Green. Yeah, I'm going to want to see how I want to compare.
Okay.
Good to know that we're close.
So how did that actually get out there? I'm always confused about
He put it on his
dick pic.
Snapchat story. Oh, sorry, I thought personality was another word of something else. When we're talking about the biggest personality in the NBA. Okay.
We're talking about the best personality.
Oh, best. Oh, I thought you said the biggest.
After seeing it, it could well be the best.
Yeah.
I think ratio-wise, everything seems in order.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Everything's okay. How did that Snapchat, though, get out? I'm always confused about this.
It was literally, I think it was about 2014, he just put a Snapchat on his story.
Yeah, right.
It was when Snapchat had a bit more credibility and, yeah.
My thoughts was that he was trying to, because he was nicknamed the Donkey, and I'd mentioned this last week on the earlier podcast, and I think what he was trying to do is elevate to the horse, but it didn't stick.
Well,
that didn't really feel right.
I'm thinking nicknames. We could potentially go under Neapolitan ice cream. Could be severed, similar to Colin DeGonholm's severed piece.
Yeah, look, I appreciate you not wanting to go into too much detail there, and you have, but you're right.
I might just rein this back in. I might just rein this back into this personalities, and because I'm actually we'll discuss members later on in the podcast. I'm sure
More dick pics or members.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, male members. Engorged.
I'm going to write an editing note down there. Producer Adam for that.
One I think is understated or underestimated, more because he's trash, but he's good with a post interview, is Cole Anthony from the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he tends to be quite chatty. I think last year he managed to score, I think it was like 31 points and the game winner. And then once he got pulled aside, you get punished by Doris Burke. And he's just like, yeah, this is my time. This is what I was made for this. This is what I was meant to do. Put on God's earth to come out here and pull a dub away for the Magic. And then I think they went on to lose like another 5 games back to back to back. So they weren't really anything special.
This one's a great one. What you've just kind of analysed there, Storm, is the ability of some players to go, you know what, I know my lane, and it definitely isn't being the best basketballer in this league. It is, I'm going to construct a career here around being the media's best friend. All of a sudden, there's Instagram clips everywhere of hype-up speeches. You've only played 2 minutes off the bench that game, and all of a sudden, people will listen and care about you.
It's almost similar to a few years ago, or quite a few years ago now, JaVale McGee, when he was literally He was probably the worst player in the NBA, but he was just a highlight reel on Shaqtin' a Fool.
Oh,
And then he was just, probably more well known than most of the good players.
Yeah, and I think someone like Cole Anthony is kind of like planting seeds earlier on to try and eventually, once that NBA career finishes in about a year or two, just end up working for TNT, ESPN, EA, all the other letters that do NBA basketball kind of stuff.
I did have one other name for this question about who is the best personality in the NBA.
You got it?
This is best as in relative to me. The personality that's affected me the most in the best way is actually Kyrie Irving's inability to want to get a vaccination, because that means he's not playing for the team, playing for what would be one of the best teams that the NBA's probably ever seen. So I think to me and to any other fan that's not a Nets fan, that is the best personality in the NBA.
And I think the biggest takeaway that we can take from the best personality in the NBA is we've got a new nickname for Draymond Green.
Yeah. So, sorry, Finn, can I just take it back one step? Were you saying that you agree with everything Kyrie Irving says and stands by? Is that why he's your favourite personality?
No, thank you for clarifying that, Pants Man. I do appreciate you just making sure that I've got my message out well and truly across there. No, I do not agree with Kyrie Irving, Joel. I just agree that he has affected the league in a positive manner.
Good to know where you stand.
That aren't Nets fans.
Good to know where you stand on that. As we move on to number 2 for the starting 5, the Ball brothers. A bit of a situation with the Baller brand.
Yeah, massive situation for like the three brothers, and I feel sorry. You feel sorry for LiAngelo. He's the middle brother.
Who?
Yeah, literally, he's the middle brother. He's been slaving away in the European League.
Oh, bruh.
In the G League, the D League.
Look to the Breakers to come and try and sign him.
I got no time for this shit, man. He sucks. I don't have room to talk about this like he deserves a position in any kind of basketball. He's a role player at best, and he doesn't play defense, so therefore he's not even a role player. I think he can shoot still. We're not even 100% sure about that. I think I had a look at his shooting stats, and his three-point is not even that good anymore. Yes, he was making some money in high school from all thanks to his younger brother LiAngelo. LaMelo. But this conversation pisses me off because he's not good.
Are you a middle child?
No.
Oh, okay, because you're really running middle child energy at the moment. But sorry, continue on.
No. Eldest.
Okay.
Eldest. He's just not good. So that's why that situation winds me up, is I think that probably it's time to just probably park that one up there, I think.
Producer Adam, you wanted to chime in?
Well, he would be pretty good in your league if you were going for the defensive stats, because allegedly he's extremely good at steals.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's it's a ball thing though, isn't it, I think?
Hey, it is true. It is a fact. So he could be helpful if you're looking for some defensive stats in your team.
So I feel like the LiAngelo, the Ball brothers, if he's getting waived from Charlotte, do we just shut this down? They're never going to play together as a threesome on a team.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assumption to make. And that was interesting, Adam, because it's a good point. I think all three of those boys know how to hustle when they want to hustle. All of them, I think, have got good steals. I remember LaMelo played on my fantasy team last year. And again, he would average 3 or 4 steals a game.
Yeah, he had sticky fingers.
He just had problems with actually just manning up and playing some proper D. But
do you think?
I agree with you, mate.
Just to make this relatable to New Zealand, obviously the Barrett brothers.
Yeah.
You got Big Scotty, you got Bowden, and then you've got Geordie.
Yeah, you do.
All donning the black jersey. The only one who didn't get to do so was Kane. Kane Barrett got as far as the Blues. What I'm trying to get at here is when it comes to Christmas, and you're walking through the Baller household or maybe the Barrett household, and you've got all these photos of your sons.
Yeah.
All your special ones up on the wall. You'll have framed NBA jerseys for the Ballers, framed all black jerseys for the Barretts. There's going to be one child that's not going to be featured in that. Put yourself in LiAngelo's shoes. He is not getting all the cool birthday presents, Christmas presents, and plaudits from the family that
I think
he deserves.
I see what you're saying. I think maybe people have to be content with their lane, though, like what Adam touched on. Like, Jesus, you don't have to be. I mean, it's probably hard when both of your brothers are in the NBA.
And your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your dad's just a full munter.
My best advice to you, LiAngelo, as I'm sure you're a big fan of the Benchwarmers podcast, is just move over to New Zealand, come be a Breakers lead.
Or do you run a Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Johnny Tuivasa-Sheck situation where Roger's a superstar? Johnny he's a superstar in this field of social media content creation. Do you just get a new career? Maybe a tattoo artist or
that's what you were getting at, eh? The White Rumba is just sticking to your lane.
Yeah, I think that's the key. But again, like Adam touched on, is that there is a lane for him in basketball. but he just needs to stop kidding himself, and he's not going to be starting. He's not going to be on the starting 5 with the Lakers in 3 years with the other 2 of his brothers.
Oh, you never know. I mean, the Lakers they made a bold claim last week that the Lakers were going to win the league, and oh boy, if I could take things back, that certainly will be one of them. As we move on to number 3 here for the starting 5, the Breakers are running a hot streak at the moment, winning back-to-back, 3 on the trot, beating Illawarra last night, 88-62.
Yes.
Big 26-point victory. This Thursday night, they'll be back home at Trust Arena playing the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, who will be unleashing their 7'1" Chinese import who was drafted in round 2 with the Houston Rockets, Zhao Qi.
What do you know about him?
He's tall.
Okay, so
That's about it.
Is he Chinese?
Yeah, he's of Chinese descent.
Yeah.
I think he's the kind of like the player that the NBL is hoping is going to be the breakout in the same way that LaMelo was like 2 years ago when he came and played for Illawarra, really putting Australian basketball on the map. I think what they're relying on here is how bland and boring the NBL is. So we're just throwing like names of people who have played in the NBA and going, oh, look at us. We're really cool. I wanted to ask, though, as someone who's nearing on 7'1", can you actually dunk?
It's been a while since I've played. We actually might have to put that to the test one day on an actual basketball court. But I feel like I could dunk holding like a soccer ball, but I haven't tried it with a basketball for a while. So, yeah. Actually, on that fact, 7'1", can we just head down there, please, producer Adam?
Stat bunker!
It's a bit of a new thing. I got a bit of a stat book here with some random NBA facts. I know Finn loves a bit of a fact from me as well. Here's a fact: only 2,800 people in the world are actually over 7 foot.
2,800
people in the world.
That's a sick fact.
Out of 7 billion, only 2,800 over 7 foot.
That's a great fact. I got a follow-up question. How many of those are in the NBA? There must be quite a few.
2,000.
Hey, we'll get back to you next week.
If you could update that fact. Hey, are we too late to talk about Zhao Qi?
We're not.
No. What I was just going to say is his 2022-2023 averages of 8 points per game and 4 rebounds with 0 assists in a league that has only been about 5 games in. It's not looking great. I don't think he's going to be the guy, so to speak.
I think what is interesting, though, is the state of the NBL at the moment and what we've experienced with big men in the past is it's been a position, the number 5, that hasn't really seen a whole lot of diversity or anything other than just size. I haven't seen Zhao Qi play before or really seen anything of him. But if he can handle a ball or something like that, I think he could be really good because the big men in the NBL, you guys might know better than I do, but tend to struggle to move around as well. Defensively, pretty tight, I will admit. But, you know, big men in the NBL, only usually score average 8 or 9 or 10 points a game as opposed to your point guards are getting all your points or your shooting guards. I think that there's a room for a scoring center in this league, and it could actually be really interesting if he's any good.
Damn, man. That's legit, information. I'm proud of you there, Finn Caddie.
So is that too much?
That's just tone it back a little bit, mate.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Bring it in.
Yeah, just leave the numbers out of it as well. None of those stats. I'll take care of the stats.
Okay, I'll stay in my lane.
Yeah, sweet as, man.
But I do want to extend on that quite quickly because you are 100% right. The big men in the NBL tend to be just like body movers. Think Steven Adams. They're just there to set screens, be a bit of a nuisance in the post. Think about Sydney Kings when they brought back old mate Buggett. For the Golden State Warriors, and we were thinking, wow, NBA player, NBA champion. Like, what's he got? Bro, he averaged 4 points per game and 3 rebounds. He was trash.
Yeah, it's also like that.
Yeah, sure, he's in the twilight, but I mean, far out, man. Even I could be a superstar if I went back and played under 13 basketball. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is what I think the difference is.
Okay.
That might be another bold claim there. Just moving on to numero 4 in the starting 5 here, lads. This one actually came by way of producer Adam. You were saying that Draymond Green is looking to start for the Golden State Warriors, not because he's valued, but because he is getting his ring.
Yeah, well, allegedly this week is when the ceremony is on their first game, and it seems all too convenient that somehow, even after, there's disciplinary for the silliest things in the NBA, He smacks his teammate in the face and he just gets the pass.
Well, last week we were talking about those who we thought had the most punchable face in the NBA. Speaking of, I think Charles Barkley certainly has his eyes set on one person.
A lot of guys talk on TV, stand behind a microphone and a TV screen. The fact of the matter is, if you feel that strongly about something, he's seen me a million times. If you feel that strongly about it, then punch me in my face when you see me. If you're not gonna punch me in my face when you see me, then shut up. It's no different than somebody sitting behind a computer screen tweeting, "I'll knock you out," and you never see him in life. Well, he's seen me a bunch of times, and he'll see me again this year. Punch me in the face when you see me, or if not, no one cares what you would have done. You old, and it is what it is.
Shut up.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of going out with the boys and you have that one mate that's a little bit too much of a liability and way too keen on the scrap.
Old MPM over here. Or his pants man, bro. He gets a little bit lippy.
All love, mate. No,
when he's about 6 exports down.
A few too many beers while he's getting held back by a mate who's telling someone to get away from, hold me back, hold me back, hold me back. I think Draymond is full of shit. Maybe being a Warriors fan, it hurts to hear that audio and it's a shame. Adam, you might know better than I do, but it's going to be interesting what happens at the Warriors over the next wee while, hey, because Jordan Poole has just got some serious amount of money. Signing a 4-year deal, is that right? I'm looking around the room because I haven't looked at it.
I think it's up around 140 mil.
Wow.
It is some serious coin because there's that, we're talking about it earlier, Storm, there's that famous clip of him and Wiggins talking about how that last year they just secured the bag, and they definitely all have. And something has to give, man. It just depends who it is, right?
Well, I mean, because the Warriors are in this interesting position where they've been so good for 10 years and now they have to look forward. And I tell you what, they're obviously going to have to keep banking on Steph because Steph Curry, but is all of a sudden Draymond going to be looking around and thinking, why am I all of a sudden not as wanted as I once was? Mate, because you're a tosser. And I think that he might be the first one to give, especially with signing Wiggins for another big deal, right? And he's also a defensive player, so maybe there's something going on there.
I was running the numbers on this as well. So Draymond Green's 32 years old, and he's up for extension. Oh, he's up for he's only got 1 year left on the contract. So,
is that right? Okay.
So he could be gone by next year. Although I did see there's a clip of him on a reel on Instagram that he sort of patted Jordan Poole on the back the other day after Poole scored a goal. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was just a publicity stunt or something.
I don't condone violence, but real quick, if we're going around the league, who do you reckon will be the best scrapper? Who do you reckon's got the hands?
I reckon Steven Adams.
Steven Adams?
Pat Beverly rates himself.
Yeah, Pat Beverly certainly thinks he's got some mean hands. Can I put one out there that I feel like no one should probably go against? And I think it's Zion Williamson.
True.
I mean, the thighs alone. I mean, luckily you can't do much with the thighs in a fight.
Submission, it could be
unless it turns into all-out ground brawl. But I think there's a lot of those guys that probably rate themselves as scrappers more so. And you're right, Storm. There's some underlying ones that I think Zion Williamson will probably fuck you up.
I reckon he'll hit some glass chins quite
There is one other one who is, I think he's just out the league, maybe a year or two, is Joe Johnson. He was a serious fighter. He was a black belt and he was the one guy no one would mess with. And even Steve would have been scared of him, man. He would have been an animal. So
Rajon Rondo, Chris Paul as well after that little scuffle up a couple of years ago.
Oh, yes.
You can't rule them out, man. You can't rule them out.
I would say LeBron just because he's an all-round great athlete, but something about the way that he puts himself makes me feel like he's got flimsy arms. You know when you see someone punch and it's just I don't think that's going to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
He gives me that vibe he throws a jab and it just looks weak.
He's got the moral high ground though, I think. LeBron James, I'd be too scared that he'd hurt me with his words.
It's a high ground that's as high as his receding hairline.
Yeah.
And talking about that, can you remember the clip last year where Austin Rivers hit the ball back towards him?
Yeah.
And it smacked him in the face and LeBron turned around like he was really going to do damage. And I've never seen a guy drop his nuts so quickly when he realized what he just did and LeBron just kind of waved it off. He was pretty psyched, but it's not something you'd want to do, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd scrap it out.
Just to tie a bow on that, did we actually figure out what happened there with Draymond and Jordan Poole? Is it something? Has anyone found out exactly what it was over or what happened?
Yeah, well, it's actually a great question there, Finn Caddie, and it's actually just more revealing that you don't listen to the first episode of the Benchwarmers podcast because we actually did round that off. Jordan Poole getting a little bit too lippy, getting under the skin of Draymond Green, throwing out slanders that I think even the donkey Neapolitan man himself couldn't handle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit of trash talking that apparently went too far, getting family members involved, getting contract extensions involved. I think at one point he said something along the lines of, good luck getting all those rings when you get signed by the Kings or something. So.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's close to home for Draymond Day.
Hey, can I just take a second here to interrupt again? The Kings, they actually haven't made an NBA Finals. They haven't won an NBA series in the playoffs since 2004. And a bit of a fun fact, the Seattle Supersonics actually won one in 2005.
Harsh on the stat feedback there. Sorry about that one there, the Notorious Pants Man. And just to round out their starting five, I wanted to have a quick conversation about the best NBA nicknames, past and or present. Just to get things started, because we're gonna go into fantasy chat later.
Yeah.
Which the Benchwarmers have a bit of an announcement when it comes to NBA fantasy. But I just want to start. Obviously, we've got like the good ones. Dame Time, the Greek Freak, which is Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Splash Brothers, which is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. You got Karl Malone, who was the mailman, always delivers, and always apparently shags the ladies. There's a stat fact for you there. Sorry, I'll stick out of your lane, man.
Just some more tangible ones would be nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe we could run, if you just want to have a quick think there, gentlemen, about some more modern ones that we could apply for the modern player. I'll kick things off. I thought Jordan Poole fell too easily, for being completely honest, so I'd like to give him the glass chin.
The glass chin? That's harsh.
I know it's harsh, but if the shoe fits, somebody's got to wear it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think of one of the more popular modern ones, Mamba. Kobe Bryant, I think, was one of the all-timer ones. It was a tone setter, the black Mamba.
Mm-hmm. There was the white Mamba, which was Scalabrine, I think it was.
That was the red. No, he was the red Mamba.
Oh, was he the red Mamba?
Yeah, Brian Scalabrine.
Brian Scalabrine, yeah. Who infamous for saying that I'm closer to LeBron than any other player is closer to me. In terms of like skill level, which he's right.
Did you know he did a tour around the States where he would challenge people in gyms?
Yes.
And he did a video show, and it was on YouTube and stuff, where he would challenge people and just shit on them.
Have you guys seen the new movie Hustle?
Yes.
With apparently there's a scene in that, if you haven't seen it, where Adam Sandler's bringing up this player and he's taking him around gyms. That's where he got the idea for this part of the movie, is because obviously that.
Also, a bit of a hack from Scalabrine, by the way, because all he was doing was just like taking it into the post and bullying them so much so that he just have to turn and just get a nice little sky hook or a little layup on. He didn't do anything like amazing handles wise.
Yeah, well, so I guess we got Draymond Green. Are we gonna go with the Neapolitan?
I love it.
Neapolitan?
I think it's so on the nose.
Yeah.
It explains a backstory that I'm not sure if I'm super comfortable with. I'd like to stay out of that one. Maybe we can put Ben Boyce in charge of that.
Yeah, well, as a bench warmer on the bench warmer, it's something that you won't have to worry about too much.
So maybe actually in that case, then I'm all for that.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Any other, I think, what did we have for Al Crawford last year? This is kind of like a niche podcast event. Do we want to bring that one up? No, I'll just leave that one, We'll just leave that one up because we're only 2 episodes in and we don't want to get cancelled.
Just looking at the sheet in front of me, I think you guys did some actually good prep. I assume this is producer Adam here. One of the best ones is definitely Mr. Fundamental, being Tim Duncan. I think it's a classic that doesn't get old. It's also Vinsanity, or who was it? Vinsanity?
Yeah, Vince Carter,
Linsanity.
Linsanity is another good one.
Jeremy Lin with Linsanity.
We need some more current ones. I feel like all these guys are like legendary players, and 99% of them don't actually play anymore. So yeah. I feel like over the course of the next few weeks, it'd be good to build up a good list of nicknames, so we don't have to refer people by their name. Probably be quite good for legal reasons down the track as well.
Of course, if
NBA comes for us, for any hot takes. So yeah, maybe if you have a good one as well, send it through to the Instagram at ACCNZ. Any current player NBA nicknames, I would love to hear from you.
Well, you're well versed in those legal issues here with the company. With that being said, that is your starting five. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with our fantasy chat. Welcome back to the Benchwarmers podcast here with Storm, the Notorious Pants Man, Joel Harrison, and the White Roomba and Finn Caddie. As we move into our fantasy chat now, the NBA season starts Thursday, I believe, somewhere around
tomorrow.
there.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of days since we last put up our podcast, all of us, Joel Harrison, myself, and Ben Boyce have all drafted our teams. And I thought, Finn, with you coming in here, maybe you could kind of rank off our rank with an R our our teams that we've selected.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear your teams first and foremost. So if you go through and let me know who you've got, that'll be dope.
Well, we'll go in order of who drafted. So, Joel, you drafted last Thursday night.
Last Thursday. It was a snake auction though, so it's a different format.
It's fine, man.
Different format to I believe what you and Ben did. But I was lucky enough to be given the 8th out of 10th spot, which means you then get the 12th spot, and the 28th, 32nd, etc., etc. So it's not like you're going first and getting the 20th. So I was quite happy because I would have hated to be up the top.
How many teams are in your league?
10 teams in the league. So I decided to go for Ja Morant's first pick.
Yep.
Which is good. I do points as well, not category. So he's a good scorer when it comes to points. He's a very consistent player.
The kindergarten league's a fantasy.
Oh, that is a very fair. It's a very fair point from you, Storm. And then I went for Karl Anthony Towns second, SGA from OKC third, and then Sabonis, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Brunson, Franz Wagner, Maxey, Allen, Trent Jr., Lowry, Harrison Barnes, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to round out the team. And I thought it was quite a balanced team. And then there was actually like a ranking system sort of in our league, and there's like a prediction of your percentage to make the finals, and they did this based off the teams. And in my league, I was the highest with an 84% of making the playoffs already.
Whoa.
So you never know what's going to happen, but I was happy. I left, had a couple of beers during the draft. It's always a good time, a bit of pizza as well.
Which is how you ended up with Maxey, eh?
Yeah, that is. I actually only went for Tyrese Maxey because my flatmate's a massive Philadelphia wounder. And I feel like now that I have him, I could probably use it for a bit of a leeway into making a trade that he might regret later down the track as well.
Finn Caddie, how did you thinking that's a nice little team that could take Joel at least to the finals?
I'm just having a look through here on who he's got. I've tried to remember it, so forgive me if I've forgotten something here. You okay in the point guard position?
Who'd you get?
You got Ja up the top. But,
Ja at the top.
And then you got no one else running the point.
Maxey and Lowry.
Oh, you got Kyle Lowry?
Yeah. And SGA.
Oh, yeah, he's got
Shea Gilgeous.
Yeah, Alexander. I missed the Lowry pick. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think everything's going on there. Well, any team, when you're playing points leagues especially, right?
Yeah. From
what I understand, and the limited I've played in the past, is anytime you've got a point guard that tends to be a relatively solo operator, is they're going to do good for you earlier in the season. What's tough about fantasy, especially this time of the year, is that it so much depends on when you're playing points is how many games you've got. How many games in the first few weeks your players are playing. All of a sudden you think that you're in with a good look, but then you find out, that it is only playing twice that week or 3 times that week, and someone else is playing 5 times that week. It's going to be interesting. Fantasy this time of the year is tough, especially with injuries as well. A couple of your deeper boys have got injury concerns.
I know, I saw a few of those.
Cat he's looking, I think, healthy this season, which is good.
Yep.
It's good.
Well, the thing that you need to take into consideration, because did you say you've got Cat?
I got Cat.
Jeez, that's a good team. Is the battle time in the paint between him, Gobert, even Edwards to some extent.
Yeah.
So that whole the battle in the paint's kind of going to be shared, which is all good because Cat will still score from mid range.
Definitely.
He won't give you threes, but I think he'll be well enough to kind of bully people off the ball, maybe and get some assists in. I think your sleeper is low key from all the write ups is Wagner.
Yeah, no, I had him last year as well. Got him as a rookie. Honestly, picked him up. Had literally no idea who he was. I got him off the waivers. I just saw some good numbers, and he was definitely one of my unsung heroes last year. A rookie from the Magic. He had a great rookie season, so I'm sure his sophomore year will be great as well.
Great. All right. Shall I read my team?
Yeah, let's hear it. Sorry.
So we're in a 12-team league. It was auction. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but toot.
Yeah,
I think I'd have one of the best teams in our league. So I've got Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Edwards.
Just hold up there for just a moment. Is that Anthony Edwards?
That's Anthony Edwards, yeah.
Doncic scored in the league that I was playing in last year so many points. Mm-hmm. He's a freak. Again, I think it probably comes back to, are you playing a points league, sorry?
Nah, we're playing 9Cat.
Oh, okay, yeah. So so that's all right, but Doncic, especially in the points league, just absolutely dominates.
Well, he's near on a walking triple-double. So that's why. And you'll find a lot of my team I passed on players that I think they're going to be injury-prone, apart from my other point guards. I got Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, Harrison Barnes. I got the number 1 pick from the last draft in Pablo Banchero.
You've both got Harrison Barnes.
Yeah,
and
that's
Scotty
just kind of
Barnes.
how that fell into. Oh, you got Scotty as well.
Yeah.
I got Jaden McDaniels, another Timberwolves fella. I don't think he's the deeper end of my team is going to be a little bit trash because we go into Vucevic, who's not too bad.
He's
I
all right.
got Ben Simmons, Mitchell Robinson, Steven Adams, Pokusevski, Russell Westbrook, and
Russell
Evan
Westbrook. That's going to be a good one for him.
yeah, actually, that's a nickname for Russell Westbrook and Evan Fournier.
Well, that's a good team. Is it mainly from? Is it pretty guard heavy? Listening to that.
Yeah, I was the guards I got is Luka, Edwards, Ja Morant, and Russ. Oh, and Evan Fournier.
Yeah, well,
that's
even
guard
small
heavy.
forwards. I think there's a few small forwards in there as well, right? So what's going to be interesting is your rebounds and stuff like that. Have you got a couple centers?
Yeah, I've got Adams. He loves to nom down on some rebounds.
Yeah.
Vucevic as well is a big board eater too.
Was there any interesting selections, like really early selections in your league that you noticed?
No, not early selections, but I tell you what was quite interesting is I think Ja Morant was drafted like 30th. So when I picked him up, he didn't even go in like the top 10. He went late.
Wow, because I
He went
actually
big time late.
Because I did pick him at 8th, and then I went on Instagram Reels and I saw TikToks and stuff. Everyone's like, "Oh, Ja's gonna have a bust this year." So it was really good to see that actually after selecting him as my first pick. But there was one in my league that was pretty crazy. Tyrese Halliburton, 7th, is where he went.
I think that's too high.
I know, but he was ranked 7th by NBA for projected points for the season as well on the ESPN app. So
God, this might get me on there.
Who went 1, 2, and 3 in your leagues? Just out of curiosity.
One was Jokic.
Same.
Giannis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doncic
Giannis,
was 3
Jokic,
for me.
and Curry.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
Yeah, I was going to say
No,
Steph.
Steph.
I thought you said Curry at first. I was thinking,
Yeah.
wow, that's also a bold,
No,
bold
Steph
pick.
Curry went number 3. Steph way down the bottom.
And then 4 and 5.
I can't remember who was 4 and 5 in our league.
For mine, one of my mates actually had a massive mare. He didn't join the draft early, and he was 4th pick, and he got LaMelo Ball on auto draft.
Wow.
Which it's in when LaMelo Ball's healthy, he gets a lot of points in the points categories.
Wait, what was that blunder that
And
someone
steals
did
as well.
in your fantasy? They ended up drafting a fella from the Hornets who.
Oh, Miles
gone-
Bridges, yes,
What a
big.
dummy.
Obviously, Miles Bridges is in a few legal dilemmas. For a bit of a. Yeah, he's done a few things. He's probably not. He's going to be playing a lot of ball, a bit of prison ball for the next 12 to 25 years. And one of my mates picked him up about 100, and he goes, "What steal of the night?" And then someone's goes, "Don't Google him.
Not gonna be a lot of game time
And
this year.
he's on the waivers now. So yeah.
Which leads us on to the league that the Benchwarmers is going to be a part of. I think we made a call out on the podcast last week looking for a league that the Benchwarmers could be a part of. And shout out to Shapiro's who have accepted the invitation. Well, we've accepted their invitation. So the Benchwarmers podcast will be adding in our own fantasy team. We're drafting later on today. So I think we'll give you a bit of an update on the team that we end up getting. I want to win that. I really want to I want Shapiro's, and I use this language, and I mean this with the utmost respect. I want Shapiro's to be my bitch,
Yeah.
and in fantasy.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. I had a big night there one night, and I remember going through the front doors thinking the exact same thing. Tonight, I will make this place my bitch. And
Okay.
look, again, you don't have to be proud of it,
No.
but I think there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. Are you guys going to get together the Savo and draft in this league?
Yeah, I think we'll try and do it all together. It might be Sans Ben Boyce, but I'm sure between Joel and I, we could probably put together and producer Adam a great team.
And the White Roomba, he can get
the White
involved as
Rumba,
well.
I want you. Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't want to talk too much behind the scenes or anything like that, but is there any chance, because I'd like to listen to you boys do it, if not, but is there any way you could maybe just stick the record button on and podcast, do a special podcast?
We'll talk to our people behind the scenes and maybe
Yeah,
try and
man.
get that all. I think it's going to be a technical issue.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Technical being the laziness of the podcast.
We can maybe do a bit of a
outside
reenactment. A reenactment.
That's
could
a
be-
great
that's a
idea.
great
Like
idea.
a 5-minute highlights. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We got Ja Morant.
Oh, shit. We got Scalabrini.
Yeah, if
he
we
doesn't
could-
even play anymore.
If we could kind of do the way, when the British guys back in the day opened up their packs on FIFA, if we could just kind of give it that amount of energy. I want to see chairs thrown.
Okay.
I want desks through TVs. I want monitors out the window type shit, boys, okay?
This is going to be exciting though, because we're going to be able to bring our knowledge and our vast experience from our own fantasy leagues. Probably all be winning our fantasy leagues
Well, I was
as we
number
do
two
with
last year.
NBA podcast, whatever, and then we'll all combine it to one, and we're going to be having great stuff to chat about. And we're going to be making Shapiro's our bitch.
Hell yeah! So we'll keep you updated on how our journey to make Shapiro's our bitch is on next week's podcast. And so before we round out, let's get into this week's alley-oops.
It's the big alley-oop. It's not the one, It's not the one.
Alley-oops this week. Anthony Davis had a bit of an embarrassing situation when he ripped a hole in his pants.
Anthony Davis back to the line. He's missed 3 straight free throws, and he's got a little rip in his shorts on the underside. Do we?
Are you saying you want somebody to show it?
No. I don't want anybody to show it.
How did you notice that?
Well, there's how did you not notice it?
Well, I do now that you pointed it out.
A little bit of easy access, some would say, for Anthony Davis.
Look, I don't want to get too far down appendage chats. This podcast already probably crossed that line when we're talking about the Neapolitan land. But do you remember a few years ago when LeBron James, you saw his piece in a huddle, and he sort of pulled his pants down, and the camera was on it, and there's like a freeze frame shot of his just hanging out there like it's nothing.
No. How do you find all this stuff?
I did not know this was a thing, Pants Man.
Okay.
How are you finding this, man?
Okay, moving on to the next alley-oop of the week.
You're looking around the room right now looking for people to go, yeah, I remember that. No one's seen that, Joel.
Okay, well, I'll send it to the group chat afterwards, but... Look, we're talking nicknames. Do we have
afterwards?
Anthony Davis, the young dagger or something? Could that be one, making a hole in his own pants?
The young dagger. I mean, you like to use LaFlop in regards to him flopping around all the time, but I think you use it because of what you saw way back in 2016, was it?
Is that not why they call him LaFlop? No, I was under the impression that is why he's called LaFlop.
No, that is not why he's called LaFlop.
Because he'd be bloody knee knocker if that was the case.
You're going down the right path to having knee knocker. You're going down the path of having your nickname changed to like the Great Penis Investigator. Okay, the GPI. You're going from the NPM to the GPI. Finally, on this week's Alley Oops, Grant Williams pulled a bit of a Fred Flintstone and ran right out of his shoes.
Watch the right foot. Grant Williams plants in his foot. Comes right through. Blowout! The laces.
I gotta love American commentators when they see that blowout. I think this is something that we'll save next week because Ben Boyce would like to get into this chat. But there's certainly some cause for having a think about what brand you'd like to be sponsored by if you get into the NBA, NBL, any other.
It would just be nice for someone like you to be wearing shoes. I know you have not been wearing shoes on the basketball court in the past.
Oh, that's because of my horrific athlete's foot. I need to kind of air my toes out. That's why. With that being said, that brings us to the end of the Benchwarmers podcast. The Notorious Pants Man, anything from you before we bounce out?
I'm excited that the NBA kicks off tomorrow, New Zealand time. 2 absolute stonkers. Philadelphia taking on Boston, which I reckon could be top of the East this year. And then Lakers taking on Warriors, which is just going to be amazing. And
my boys, the Lakers, going to go for the perfect season.
I'm here for it. Next week's going to be hissing.
Starting off with an easy game, it's the Lakers. And to the white, Rumba Finn Caddie, thanks for joining in and filling in for Ben Boyce. Anything from you before we bounce out?
No, thanks for having me, fellas. And I hope to be back one day soon.
No worries. And that is the Benchwarmers podcast for today. Keep a lookout. We'll keep you updated on our fantasy team, on all things NBA. We should have all the wrap up from the first games. This is the Benchwarmers podcast. Bye.